All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Aesop Grimm, and this is the continuation of my blind playthrough of RDR2 in 2025. I'm recording this as of Sunday, and this should be your Monday episode. And I think I'm going to try and record Tuesday's episode right afterwards also. So it is morning time. We left off in the last game at 3:30 in the afternoon in the camp. I logged in as that, but then quickly discovered that my side missions were flooded with stuff I had already done, and it's because they had left me gifts over by my camp, by my bunk, and I could not collect those until I went and spent some of the others that I already had on hand. So I had to go kill a bunch of animals. I shot the heck out of them too, man. Nothing nice. They turned 3 stars into 1 stars, and collected up a bunch of meat and skins, brought it all back to camp, donated it all, cleaned my weapon so I could pick up the gun oil, smoked a cigarette so I could pick up the cigarettes. Then I took care of my horse with some potent horse tonics. That's not the proper name, but it's something in that category. So I could pick that up. Took a human miracle cure that filled up everything, all of our cores and all that, so I could pick up a gifted one. And as you notice, it's morning time right now. I just woke up and Arthur is underweight. So we're going to try and get him some breakfast, and then we're going to check our mission log and see if everything I did. See, notice how my table's clear. And then over here I had a candy bar and a tonic sitting on. Oh, it's kind of hard to point out, but it was actually it was right here on this blue tablecloth, and those are gone now. I have guns stored in the locker now. That's helping us really maintain, like, that's our organization system. I have guns in that locker, and then I only have the guns I regularly use on the horse. That was a suggestion from Eat Smart Things. So thank you for that. That has definitely helped. I am looking for the coffee. We're going to go get some coffee. We're going to take a look at our mission log. We're going to try and complete some side missions, I think, and maybe get to Dutch. Oh, we talking smack now, huh? How about you put that coffee down?
Good morning,
ain't you got enough spice in you right now? You a little bit feisty? There we go. All right, so he's going to grab the stew. It'll be ready afternoon time. We're going to drink coffee. We're going to eat some food, and then we're going to check our to-do list. Guys, I ran into something I think was real funny. So we play as Arthur Morgan. We are we're a thief. We're part of an outlaw gang that believes basically in the brutality of life and might means right, survival of the fittest kind of stuff. We are a killer, a bruiser, and I'm telling you, whenever I logged into this game, see, I've been playing Warhammer 40K Dark Tide, and I've been reading up on the lore of that because I'm not real familiar. And logging back into this game had like this warm sort of feeling to it, and like we were returning back to a simpler time with a degree of wholesomeness to it. How bad is the universe of 40K for this game and its underlying principles to feel like it's wholesome and good family fun, you know? I thought that was funny. So I'm not wanting to take a look at that. I want to open up this. Okay, so we got camp item request. Kieran has left a reward for you at your tent. So I must not have found Kieran's reward. So there's still something there waiting for me, but the other people have cleared out. Jeremiah Compson. Go to Compson's house. We might want to do that. But first, I think I want to do this. Pearson has a camp request, because I have a feeling like once we've completed all of them, we'll get some kind of a benefit from it. Maybe it'll just be an achievement. I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and Alt-Tab out, and I'm going to look up RDR2, Pearson's Naval Compass, and I know we got it. We're going to have to sneak back onto some property for that, I believe. Yeah, Braithwaite Manor. Found in the boathouse. Okay. So that's where we're headed. Now I'm going to open up my satchel. We're going to eat all 3 of these. Plus biscuit. Okay. Now, after a little while, I would hope that we would return back to average. So I want to bring up the map. Morning fog is still burning off. And we're looking for Braithwaite Manor. Roads. Caliga Hall, yeah. I think it's this right here. Okay. All right, let's get a giddy up. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I had the luxury, and I do mean it as a luxury, to have gone to a Bible study at a friend's house, and he and his wife did not appreciate how the thing went down between Trump and J.D. Vance and Zelensky in the White House. Now, I argued my case with him. His wife wasn't present. And I think I won him over, or at least put him in a position of being willing to look at how things unfold and see if maybe I'm right. But I appreciate that because I like whenever I run into people that have a different opinion than me. It kind of lets me know that there are people that feel differently, and I learn why. You know, but for me, and from what the polling is showing, most of us, and I'm not going to say Republicans or conservatives, because the electorate for Donald Trump is huge, and it covers the just about the entire political spectrum. Donald Trump captured everybody except the far left and the pro-establishment group. Well, he got significant amounts that someone of his party doesn't normally get, right? So that's noteworthy. That's important. It's really important. And according to polling, most of us that voted for Trump really liked what we saw from the White House. And I'll explain my position on that in a minute, so that maybe some of you that disagree will get the same benefit that I got, be able to actually listen to somebody articulate an opposing view. All right, let's go in here and let's hit pause as a just in case, or a save. I've already got a temp save section going, and it is this one right here, March 2nd. So I think it all comes back. Well, let's let them finish their dialogue. Come on, let's get out of here. Okay. I think how you weigh in on this issue, for the most part... Oh, I wonder why my dead eye went down. will depend on where your presuppositions lie. If you really believe in the idea that supporting Ukraine is saving democracy, you're probably going to see Zelensky as a hero. And I would imagine that would have you lean his way because he brought some strong rhetoric to the table. Well, I'm not one of those. There's not a single day that I've been on Ukraine's side. It's not because I'm pro-Russia. It actually has almost nothing to do with Russia. It has to do with almost immediately I began to see that the entire Western media, including overseas in Europe, was lying to me. I can't stress to you enough how much of an impact it had on me whenever they ran that whole Ghost of Kiev propaganda piece and then showed us video
Remember
game
me?
footage.
I'm working for the Greys now. Come on.
Okay. Showed us video game footage and told us it was real life. That, I mean, I grew up in neighborhoods, I've said this before, I grew up in neighborhoods where you needed to be able to spot a hustle. And once you see somebody openly lying to you in that kind of way, that's not an accidental lie. That's an operation. So you're getting got. And now I don't break bread with you because I've already determined that you're purposely trying to manipulate me. So that's my position. And really before I saw things from the media, the very first thing I noticed was that Putin acted when one of the weakest presidents we've ever had entered into office. That makes sense. That's just geopolitics. I don't care which way you feel about Putin or anybody else. If you look at how world politics is done, that's just kind of par for the course, right? So that was the first thing that went south, is we had a weak man enter into the office. Number two, that weak man decided that the best thing to do was to pass some really stringent. Let's see here. I'm not getting into trouble. Some really stringent economic sanctions, right? And he had a lot of tough talk to go with it. That's why I say Biden was weak. He talked tough from the podium and then did nothing to back it up, really. Or he did stupid things. Like in this case, this was stupid. Am I at the right place? I might not be. Let me make sure that this is Braithwaite, Caliga Hall. I started to say Caligula. Is Caliga Hall? This is the Greys. We're in the wrong section. Okay, so, well, the problem with that was that, and I knew this right from very close to the beginning as well, because of sources I listened to. Russia's not an economic-based economy. They're not. I said that wrong. Everybody's an economic-based economy. They're not a currency-based economy. They are what's called a commodity-based economy. So if you pass sanctions that are designed to severely hamper their currency, they don't care. They have all the goods they need. And that's one of the things that Putin said at the very beginning. Was he said, when he addressed his own people, he said that he told them, this is going to be hard, but we've been preparing for this for 10 years. And what he was talking about was building up the infrastructure within Russia where they didn't have to depend on imports. They had their own internet infrastructure. And the sources I listened to also told me at that very same time, they told me that China had a credit card system already in place that was bigger than Visa. It just didn't have anybody that was signed on. And that was called, that's where BRICS came from. And they told me this is what's going to happen. We use the system, an economic system called SWIFT, that really, really favors Western economies, and especially the U.S. dollar. It uses the U.S. dollar as the central standard of currency to which all others are measured. BRICS will break away from that, and it will directly compete. And what happened? Just exactly that. SWIFT suffered horribly because Russia broke away, China broke away, India broke away, and eventually South America and Brazil broke away, and a number of other smaller countries also eventually joined BRICS. It was an absolute disaster, a foolish decision by a foolish man, and a lot of pro-Ukraine people applauded because they thought, oh wow, this is an unprecedented amount. We're being tough. We're going to bring Russia to its knees. We're going to turn the ruble to rubble. Yeah, you don't know what's going on. You didn't know then, and I don't think you know now. That's what I'm saying, right? So this is where I think the difference is. If you've been pro-Ukraine the entire time, you probably see Zelensky as a hero, and you like how that rhetoric went. If you're suspicious of Zelensky and you believe that he's a criminal who's a puppet and is siphoning money off to enrich himself and to pay people off in his army, his generals, at the expense and suffering of his own people, and that their method of operation to do this is to take their own population and throw them in the meat grinder, and that they don't want this war to end. That's the last thing they want, because they're making a ton of money off of it. Then you're going to view Trump and J.D. Vance as people who just put the kibosh on that and wouldn't let this dude try to change and shape and write a different narrative for public opinion on live TV. You're going to view it. This is what I heard. I heard that on Zelensky's trip over here, Victoria Nuland, former Secretary of State Blinken, and Susan Rice, these are all former Obama appointees, and they also worked with, if not directly for, the Biden administration, called Zelensky while he was on his plane and told him to get tough with Trump. And I think the idea was to try and litigate this on live TV. Like it was a hustle. It makes me think of Hamas, where Hamas is constantly talking about how, yeah, let's come to the peace table and see if we can discuss a deal. And they always seem to find a way to refuse it at the last second, because they never were intending on signing a deal. They're playing cat and mouse. They're using delay tactics. Things of that nature. I'm not quite sure how far I can go here before we get found out. So I'm going to try and get up into these oaks and tether the horse, and then we're probably going to have to sneak from there. So maybe I'm right about that, and maybe I'm wrong. That's a touchy subject that a lot of people are going to disagree about. But so what I'm asking you to do is to get the concept, to understand the concept of feigning like you're interested in peace, only to buy yourself more time for maneuvering, and then to find an excuse to just say no at the very last of it. And what I think was going on here is they feigned this third attempt to sign this deal for half of Ukraine's minerals, right? That's what this deal was about. And to help facilitate the wind down and ultimately a peace treaty between Russia and Ukraine. This was the third attempt. So the first one was in Kiev. Zelensky turned it down. Second one was in Munich. Understand, these are all peace tables, so he's at least acting like he's open to it, if not outright saying, yeah, we're going to do this. And then he turns it down one time. Then in Munich, he turns it down a second time. Now this is the third time. And I think that what happened here is that he was called and told to play tough because they got a live TV audience. I think Trump was very excited. I think he thought this was going to be a historical a historically unprecedented agreement, and he wanted the nation to see that because, you know, I'm a huge Trump supporter, and I can acknowledge that that man likes to receive credit for whenever he does something. He loves it. I'm okay with that. That's a personality type. I'm a big believer that people have elements to their personalities that if you take that away, they're not who they are anymore. And I like who Trump is. So, but these are areas that you could maybe hoodwink him on. And I think maybe that might be what happened. They got a live audience, and the attempt was to litigate this whole thing on live television and try and pin Trump and Vance into a corner where they have to either acquiesce and go along with the narrative that's live being shaped, or risk looking like clowns and horrible and pro-war or something like that. And Trump and Vance, I think, spotted that immediately and would not play along. That's why they refused to dialogue on those kinds of points. They rejected the premise. That's why you heard Trump saying, "Don't tell us how to feel about something. You're in no position to do that." You know, and so you had a big argument, but the nation's polling says that most people agree with and like that Trump and Vance threw this midget out of the Oval Office and got tough with him like nobody else has done, and told him, "Hey, man, you can go stick this where the sun don't shine. You don't come over here and argue with us whenever you're looking for help, as if you're in a position of authority and in a position of leverage to kind of tell us how it's going to be." I don't think so. And that's not beating your chest. That's you seeing somebody's attitude and understanding that that general attitude reflects some other things that are probably very dangerous. A very, very poor mindset there that's going to lead to a whole host of other issues down the road. We're going to go ahead and sneak. I better see if I can save this. We're going to actually make a second save. So that's my speculation on how and why this went down. It seems to me, again, given the polling, that most of America agrees with that. But it is a sizable majority. We're talking like in the 70 plus percentile, I believe. It depends on what question you ask. But it's not like 90% to 10%. So there's still a ton of people out there who did not like what they saw.
What the hell do you think you're doing there?
Uh-oh. Can we get away from them?
Yeah, that's it. Maybe turn back.
I think he was okay with us just simply getting further away.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe turn back.
Oh, he's following me. Okay, hold on. I don't know. This right here is the boathouse. Oh, man, there's a dude right there, man. How am I going to finagle this? I can't believe homeboy don't see us. Oh, no. I think that's a farmhand. He don't care. Holy smokes.
Morning.
The guy's looking right at me. Are we okay? I mean, he greeted me.
Good morning, mister.
Loot the lockbox. I don't need gun oil. This guy out here knows that I'm here also, but they're workers. It doesn't seem like they care. Premium cigarettes. Oh, the compass. The compass is right there, man. Okay. Now we gotta get out of here. So that's my argument. Now, if you're pro-Ukrainian, I'm not expecting that argument holds weight with you. I'm expecting that you're probably scoffing at me right now. You might even be heated and angry about it, right? But this is what I'm trying to do, because I know maybe people tick differently. I'm not sure, but I know this is how it works for me. If I've at least heard something, heard a counter explanation, then as time rolls on and more pictures of the puzzle fall into place, if it's different than what my opinion was, I at least have already been front loaded and briefed on an alternative explanation. And especially if that puzzle starts to look like that alternative explanation, it shortens my learning curve. I'm a big believer in it's kind of an us against them kind of world right now, and that it is the general population, which is going to be the vast majority of anybody listening to this, regardless of where you're from, what your background is, or what your political positions are, against the elites. And I think this is not unprecedented. I think this is the cycle of world history. And so my desire is for all of us, even if it's emotional and heated, that we share dialogue with each other. Oh, I think that's a worker. In the sense that, we'll kind of see how it unfolds. I appreciate your take. I disagree vehemently with you at this point in time, but I've at least heard it, and it'll go in the back of my mind somewhere. Because we're all getting got in one way or another. It just seems like a whole world set up on deception to benefit a handful at the expense of the majority, of the masses. So, I have heard it said this way too, and I love this phrase. That's why I keep wanting to share it. I've said it many times on this channel. The way that I've heard it said, and there's a couple different ways to say this, so sometimes it can be confusing because the different ways are kind of opposite of each other. But it just depends on what angle you're coming at it from as to how you say it. Oh, shoot, this guy's getting close. But my favorite way that the phrase is put is this right here. The line no longer cuts vertically, separating left from right. That's the world I grew up in. I'm almost 50 years old. So I was really starting to become politically aware as early as 1992, which is pretty young for me. I was like 16 in 92. Yeah, I probably started a little bit before then, actually. But, my dad informed me of some stuff, so we would have these kinds of discussions. So anyway, I've been around for a little while. That's the world I grew up in. The big division line was left versus right, liberal versus conservative. It wasn't just in politics and presidents, it was even in how you interpreted certain moral values, right? Now, it's no longer that. Oh, shoot. Okay, is this boy coming? Our horse is on the way. Yep, I see you, girl. We gotta hightail it out of here. Okay, so now I get to cut that. Let me just start over again. The line no longer cuts vertically, separating left from right. The line now cuts horizontally, separating the masses from the elites. And I think that this is evidenced.
I'm gonna kill you, you bastard!
Ooh, there it is. I think this is evidenced by the electorate that just elected Donald Trump. That is a really wide spectrum electorate, a lot of disaffected liberals. It's a populist movement. That's what populism is. It's a rebellion of the masses against the elites. So, I'm adamant that we live in a really, really fascinating time. All right, let's go back and give this to Pearson.
Whoa!
Yeah, don't steer into me, man. Not whenever I'm trying to go out of my way to get out of your way. I'm trying to think if there's anything else real interesting to, going on, but right now,
Easy now. Whoa, whoa, that's a good girl now.
the Ukrainian thing has my full attention. It probably wouldn't if I didn't have a friend who I was surprised was felt differently, and then we discussed it.
Let's get this done before someone sees us.
No, this ain't what we asked for at all. What is this, a joke?
And
Crap off on us?
with no offense meant to him whatsoever, because I think this is just normal in our age. We live in an age of
It's okay.
the buzzword is misinformation. We have a lot of deception out there, and we have a lot of suppression of information. And if you haven't figured out how to get away from mainstream media, and a lot of people have found out that mainstream media is lying to them, but they're now caught where I was. How long has it been? About 10 years ago, where I realized that the mainstream media was lying to me so much, I started seeking out news sources, and I went online trying to find sources I could trust. But there's a vetting process. When you're having to start from scratch and find out who it is you're going to trust, it takes time, because you have to listen to them tell you something, and then you have to see that play out. And sometimes those things take it up, even up to a couple years to play out before you realize, oh yeah, they were way ahead of the curve. And then by that time you have a lot of other things to go on as to whether or not you trust their opinion or not, right? But it just, there's no getting around the time aspect, the credibility aspect of plumbing out your own sources when you just simply can't go to ABC or CBS or MSNBC or Fox News, right, anymore. It's just not as simple as it used to be.
It's me.
And
Good to see you back, Arthur.
as we discussed things, that was the position that my friend was in. He just did not have any nuanced understanding of how things got going, why they were the way they were. Examples of the mainstream media propaganda. He was very much in the dark, which put him in the position of just having a knee-jerk emotional reaction to what was playing out in front of him, instead of understanding the underlying context. So as we discussed, and I informed him about these things, and we didn't go as far as to look some things up, but I gave him some stuff afterwards to prove what I was saying. And that's where he really started to change his mind. Where are we looking here? forward. Pearson. Looking for Pearson. So, I don't know. It was a big deal for me. And I really...
It's good to see you again, Mr. Morgan.
Did you miss me?
Of course. But we've been very busy. Did you have fun?
Go
on
the
your
hell away.
adventures?
Sure. Yeah, that's okay. I know what you're gonna say.
Oh, such a busy man these days, ain't you?
Yeah, a little bit. Go mind the girls.
Karen?
So it was a worthwhile. I enjoyed the exchange.
You want to sit, Mr. Morgan?
I do not.
You join us here,
I don't
Morgan?
see Pearson.
How are you? A little down. Oh, I'm sorry.
Where are you at, Pearson? Are you over here with the... with the stew? Where's the camp stew at? Right here. How are we looking? So I'm probably repeating myself now, but I do want to kind of stress that. I appreciated hearing from somebody with a different perspective. Now, how much of that has to do with the notion that I came out feeling like I was vindicated? Well, probably a lot. Would I feel the same way if we completely disagreed with one another? I think I would like to tell you, and I think I can tell you truthfully, that I would still appreciate it, but I wouldn't have the good feeling that I have right now. I'd probably be, knowing my personality, be a little bit frustrated.
I know what you're thinking.
Okay, say no more.
Okay, I get the message.
There's Pearson.
Yeah. Boy, Arthur.
Right now, I kind of have like a warm feeling, and I really enjoyed the interaction, and I think it's because it kind of went my way. If it hadn't, I think I would still appreciate the interaction.
Well, here you go.
Ah, that's a beauty. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Here, take this. I know it's not much.
Hey, I'll always take some rum.
Oh, nice. But knowing my personality, I would probably be researching this whole topic instead of recording this video just to sharpen up my own argument. I don't always like that about myself, but it is kind of how I tick. All right. Where are we at here? 38 minutes. With 38 minutes, I don't think I want to go see Dutch. Instead, got a couple home robberies. I want to go check this out. It should be on the map, listed as JC. Jeremiah Compton. Oh, he's a little ways away. We might be able to make the trip. I don't know if we can actually engage in the event. That coming up on 40 minutes. Okay, we're done with politics. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. On this ride up here, I'm going to tell you about Dark Tide. I've been having an absolute blast playing Warhammer Dark Tide, Warhammer 40k Dark Tide. My cousin got me this game a couple years ago, I think, when it first came out. He gifted it to me, which was really, really kind of him. It has sentimental value to me as a result of that. Now, my cousin, and I'm not going to say his name, but he knows a ton about Warhammer 40k. I don't.
Yeah.
And my cousin's actually written a book that was published for Games Workshop. Again, I'm not going to say his name or tell you the title of the book, just for privacy purposes. I don't want to dox him or myself. But because the internet's kind of like the Old West, you know. But he got me this game, and initially when it first came out, I didn't know nothing at all about Warhammer. Hardly anything. Now, I had already been playing Total War Warhammer, but that's Warhammer Fantasy. We're going the wrong doggone way. That's Warhammer Fantasy. And although the two share a lot, they are not necessarily linked universes. And Games Workshop keeps it that way so that it gives them lots of freedom to be able to retcon stuff and things like that. It's really... Warhammer 40K is set up in a really interesting way. I think it's pretty smart, to be honest. Like within the lore, they tell you that there's a bunch of stuff that's based on hearsay. That gives them the freedom to be able to deny it or confirm it anytime they want. It gives them a lot more flexibility for future storylines. And so, me not knowing very much about the lore, that's half of the enjoyment for a game like this, because it is really, really steep. There are memes out there about the futility of trying to explain to somebody like a noob in a reasonable amount of time the background story of Warhammer 40K. It's not possible. Like, how much do you want to know? Oh man, I'm really interested. It looks really cool. It's like a movie. Okay, fair enough. Give me a day. Like, what day can you take off that we can spend together talking about this? He's like, give me the short version. That is the short version. It's funny. It's not lying. This is like one of the deepest background stories and ongoing. It's almost like it's like a comic book. You know, give me the whole storyline of Captain America. Oh my gosh, how long do you have? It's been going since the 30s. Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. That comic book's been around a really, really long time. I used to buy copies at an old comics book workshop whenever I was a real little kid. I was like 7. And, oh man. That's... Oh, okay.
This is a private matter.
Yeah, I guess. It looks like a private matter. Go on, brother. None of my business. So, anyway. What? Did it just say I was a bad boy? I don't know who is a bounty hunter and who is just, like, kidnapping somebody. I can't tell. I don't know the difference. So, anyway, Captain, I used to buy those things whenever I was like 7 years old at a little old used comic book shop. And they were old versions. I would get them for... It seems like I bought them for $0.25 a piece, but even that seems expensive for the condition they were in back in the day. So we're talking like early 80s. Early 80s? No, mid 80s. Yeah, anyway, so I share this with my mom. I get caught up on details. Yep. The overarching idea here being that the lore for Warhammer 40K is exceptionally steep. So I didn't know any of that. Plus, the game had some real problems with connectivity and stuff early on. And so I played it for a little bit with my cousin and my uncle. Our shared uncle. And where can I hitch up at? Let's try it right here.
Okay there.
No, it won't let me. Okay, let's try and hitch just to the ground. Okay, I guess you're fine right here. Well, I recently reloaded up Total War Warhammer 2. I never bought Warhammer 3. And I was playing it, and that got me into looking at lore again, and then Warhammer Fantasy led me kind of on accident on the YouTube continued playlist to Warhammer 40K. And I found that for whatever reason, I was really, really interested in that. And even started looking at a variety of games, Space Marine 2. There's also one that's an XCOM style.
By order of judge, repossession order.
Huh.
By order of Judge Meredith Holden in the courts of the state of Lemoyne, we do hereby grant repossession of this property and all items herein to the Bank of Rhodes. M. Holden, Judge Holden, Henrietta Blackley, Clerk, November 18th, 1895.
Okay. I liked how they voiced it. Let's see if we can find a way in. And so that led me to re-downloading Darktide, and man, have I been playing the heck out of that. I play an Ogre tank because it feels like it's easier and more forgiving when it comes to the dodging. It's not as fast of a gameplay thing. I'm an older guy. I've never been twitchy in the first place. I always sucked at first-person shooters, so it just seems a little bit easier and more my speed. But I've really enjoyed it. All right. Put away. And we're going to go ahead and focus on game now. I'm going to stop chit-chatting. That's really just for the trail. Where are we at recording-wise? 46 minutes. So we're in good position. We should be able to wrap this up, even if we have to go overtime a little bit. In fact, I would say my average is to go overtime a little bit. My videos tend to be an hour 6, hour 5. Okay, we got another door here.
Pager, watch, pistol.
Well, I want to look at that empty bottle. Examine empty bottle. Old Blood Eyes, Kentucky Bourbon. Toggle view, zoom. Nah. Okay, I think we're good. Close the cupboard. Okay, just search a cabinet. We'll just work our way around the perimeter. Grab that can of vegetables, for sure. Got here family, daguerreotype. I guess that's a photograph type. Flip it.
June 7th, 1855. Dear Sir, please accept this likeness of your family as a small token of appreciation for your assistance in the recovery of my property. Like your old pa, you're a cunning old dog and a credit to this community. Yours, Colonel Joshua Nixon, the Ascension Plantation.
Okay, so he helped a colonel recover his property. Maybe there was some payback involved here, and that's why his house got repossessed by the bank. Maybe it upset the wrong people. Maybe it upset the guy that we're robbing from. I wonder about that. So this isn't a photograph. This is more like a painting, I guess. Looks like a photograph. Can I take this? I don't know if I should. I would not in real life. I would leave that. I don't like to leave traces. Child's drawing. What do we got here?
Thanks indeed for your talk to our Sunday school class. Thought you might like this drawing young Josh did of you. He wants to grow up to be just like you. Sam.
All right, Sam and Josh are players. The guy that owned this thing seems like a good dude who helps people against, where's that open cabinet? against injustices, I suppose. I think probably triggered the cabinet behind me on accident. Okay. Inspect letter.
Dear Jeremiah, there ain't nothing here of any value. I wouldn't give you a nickel for it. Come by for a sup of whiskey anytime. Bill. Yes. I was sorry to hear of Betsy's passing. Things is easier up there for sure.
Dear, I want to scrutinize this a little bit. So this is to Jeremiah from Bill. Jeremiah is who we're investigating on behalf of. Dear Jeremiah, there ain't nothing here of any value. I couldn't give you a nickel for it. So it sounds like Jeremiah had his friend Bill come by to appraise things. Is that the judge's voice that we're hearing this in? What was the judge's name? I gotta go back out there. M. So no. His first initial was M, so that's not William and it's not Bill.
Okay. What is all this old crap?
Nothing. Okay. We're full on premium cigarettes. I had to mute mic and sneeze. Anything here? Examine antique pocket watch. Oh, it still works.
That's the old watch. Now the ledger and the pistol.
April 2nd, 1870. Dear Mr. Thompson, I'm afraid there's no more work for you down here at the plantation. I'm grateful for the help you've given us, and the help your pappy and your pappy's pappy gave us before you. These are trying times for all of us. You are in our thoughts and prayers. Yours truly, Colonel J. Nixon, the Ascension Plantation.
Okay, so you had a relationship here, and things got tough, and loyalties were divided. So Jeremiah probably feels screwed over.
Pa, God damn it. Told you to stay away from the boy. He don't want this. Heck, none of us want nothing to do with you.
Oh, man.
Friends.
Trap door, huh?
Near the fireplace, okay.
What you doing here? We found this place first. Yeah.
Easy. I'm just looking around for some things. That old revolver of yours?
Finders keepers. Ah! Son of a bitch!
Yeah, you're in trouble now,
God
boy.
damn it!
Come on, Dan!
Where are you going? Come on! Son of a bitch!
How about you, bastard?
Okay, so just so you guys know, I wasn't being a psychopath there. I just don't believe in leaving a person to just suffer in horrible pain over something like this, where you're just having a squabble and you're arguing over who gets what. That's not a personal vendetta. They didn't wrong me. They didn't kill a family member. There's not any reason to torture them or let them suffer any more than they have to. So I would rather put them out of their misery as quick as possible, and that's why a whole bunch of... Well, I want to be transparent. The first one, that's just... I'm telling you, I never saw combat, but I was in the military for 20 years. I think that this was training. This was, in my brain, it was disable to threaten, incapacitate. I'm not looking at this as a person. I'm looking at this as an obstacle, as if this wardrobe here, let's say this was a separate piece of furniture, had fallen down and was slipping towards me, and I needed to brace it and throw it to the right. That's exactly what this felt like to me. I'm not thinking in terms of, gosh, this is a human being. I'm not angry. And I'm also not having mercy. It's all about ending the threat. This one right here was about making sure the dude didn't suffer needlessly. So, now I can't be sure about any of that. I suspect that I'm kind of conditioned in that way. It said open trap door. Huh. Oh, there it is. Okay. Did I pick that revolver up? I did not.
Well, that'll be the pistol. Just the ledger now.
Okay.
Shit.
Stove. Nothing to search there. What would these chains be for, do you think? I guess to stack barrels up and then secure them.
Well, that's that. I was somewhere near Rhodes when they caught me. Till the day I die, I ain't gonna forget the sound of that dog barking in my heels. But I don't suppose that day gonna be far off yet. It was 50 lashings yesterday and 50 more to come. I don't think I can take any more. Man said he was doing his job. Funny kind of employment if you ask me, but I suppose you ain't. Light's fading, so that's it for now. I do hope I live to see the end of this war and justice win out. Ugh. June 64.
Oh, so he's talking about the Civil War. Wow. A lot going on here.
God.
Isn't that the ledger? I gotta take that with me, don't I? No, it says I can't take it. So it's a diary, not a ledger. What about, is there a cabinet there? No. What are you? There we go. Examine ledger. Open.
This your ledger? A list of slaves?
Rewards. January 15th, Betsy, $17. January 18th, Louise, $12. May 18th, Wilfred, $18. May 24th, Minnie and Child, $20.
So I guess that's the story that they're writing. I think that's maybe why his family disowned him. They thought this was disgusting. You can see Arthur's reaction. Is that historically accurate? I got questions, because the reason I say that is because when the Civil War was over, you know, you had people like Abraham Lincoln, and you had statesmen that found this to be abhorrent, and you had abolitionists. There's a lot of really good movies about this subject. You had abolitionists that were making the intellectual arguments, but amongst the general just day labor, worker day population, even when the Civil War was over and black people were moving north, they did not, from what I understand, they were not welcomed by your general person. So it makes this feel a little bit anachronistic to me. Like we're taking today's values and mapping it onto yesterday. But that's okay. I get it. Let's go ahead and take it. And that would have still been true in 1894. Is it 1894 that this is taking place, or 1899? Either way, both, right? The U.S. military went to war in World War I and World War II, and black people weren't really welcome except as a separate unit, and only because manpower was needed. That, you know, as I understand it. So, it doesn't seem like people of Arthur's generation, or even John's, would have this kind of feeling, and especially not the guy's family. It's hard for me to believe that they would have disowned him unless you were able to provide more context that said that they were not a blue-collar family. They were more of a white-collar family that had some education, and the son was like a lawyer who was working for the abolitionist movement. I just find it really hard to believe that most blue-collar families felt this way. But maybe I'm wrong, right? And I'm saying that as somebody who's been blue-collar their whole life. I'm not taking a dig at blue-collar families or poor people and saying that, oh, it's only because you're uneducated and dumb that you wouldn't feel. No, I'm not really saying that. I'm saying that whenever I look at things that happened at that time, the people that I see making the arguments from history that I've read and from movies I've watched that are based on the history, it seems to always be people of the professional class. To some degree, they're not necessarily wealthy themselves, but they are in a certain class of
Dear Mr.
people.
Thompson, after numerous complaints from customers and fellow employees alike, we must terminate your employment. There's just no place for a man like you at the Central Union Railroad Company.
Yeah, you see what I mean? This is 1870. This reads like, you got canceled, you fascist. This feels very, very modern to me, which makes it anachronistic. That's what that's what being anachronistic is. It's when you take a modern view of something and map it into a historical story. It's most typically a mistake that young people make, but I suppose it could be, if it's an older, this is what I would say. If it's a young person, somebody in their 20s or early 30s, okay, wow, that's young? Yeah, it is. In this context that I'm about to tell you. If it's a young person in their in their 20s or early 30s, but predominantly their 20s, I can't seem to find a way to close this. Who's a developer? That's almost, I wouldn't quite say expected, but not shocking. If it's an old person, that's an old person. If it's an older person, an older developer, around, in their 40s or around my age or older, that is shocking. That's where I would use the word, that's ignorant. I guess they both would be ignorance, but in the younger person's case, it's more understandable. Their timeline is a lot shorter and they're focused on other things. They're getting their life going. They're trying to establish a profession. Where the older person should have more time and have been around for previous eras. And should not only know that from just having been around the block longer and had more opportunity to hear. That guy looks funny. I want to go check this dude out. Oh, is that a scarecrow? Yeah. Let's make sure it's a scarecrow. I mean, it looks like a real person, kind of. Yeah, it's a scarecrow. Okay. So it's almost like the older person, it's like a willful ignorance.
Okay, my girl.
Okay. Well, we're at an hour 7. So we're going to get away from Compton's place here. It is daytime. We're probably real tired. Compton's going to be down in Rhodes. So we're going to set the map point, but we are going to set camp and have Arthur at least rest. Let's set camp up here on this hill. Actually, right here looks good.
Whoa,
We got a little bit of shade. Hitch up. You can see the blood on Arthur and stuff from the hunting that I did, that I told you about at the beginning of the episode. We don't have to do this, I don't think. Game-wise, I think Arthur's probably fine. Is it not letting me? Oh yeah, it won't even let me. Okay, so we're just gonna save it. I was gonna say I'm just gonna role play it some, but I don't think it'll let me. All right, so we're gonna go save game. Oh, I can't. That's why I can't set camp. We got to go finish this mission.
Girl. Giddy up.
And Black Beauty feels fast. Black Velvet. I wonder if that has to do with... Is this how fast she normally is? Or is it because I gave her that horse tonic and she's all rested up? Uh-oh. You failed to return the items. Well, I was trying to. Retry checkpoint. Return the items to Compson. Okay. Where you at, girl?
You alright, girl?
Okay, where's he at then? Maybe he's not at Rhodes. Oh, we gotta go here. Okay.
Yep.
Let's get a move on.
Yep.
Wow, look at the lighting. It's so pretty. I love whenever I run into this real world too. You can get these really warm pinks whenever it comes to sunset. The different states seem to have different looks. But you know, I've never been anywhere in this world that I didn't appreciate the sunset. They're different, but they're all pretty.
Whoa!
Oh man, she rolled up pretty quick.
There we go.
Forgot about us. Just when they needed us, they threw us away like shit on their boot. Times wasn't perfect. I ain't saying that. It's just.
Is he talking? Yeah, he's talking to himself.
On to hell. Rack and ruin.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. You show some respect. I was respected once. I had a profession.
You asked me to get you something.
There's no bringing back what I want. I want my job, my pride, the respect accorded to a gentleman.
What about this old crap? Huh?
My things. Don't you understand? Those bastards have changed everything. I was a good worker. I took pride in my work. They took it away. Pissed on my legacy.
Oh, man. Some jobs ain't for saving. And some legacies,
Oh,
they are for pissing
what
on.
are you doing? That's my history. Ah! God. Damn you! Damn you! I still exist. Oh.
I didn't like this mission. Like, none of this makes sense to me. What's the difference between him being a slave trader and Arthur being a cutthroat thief? They're both evil. You know? I don't, it doesn't make sense to me. I learned in philosophy class, this is what I suspect is going on here. I learned in philosophy class that raising one sin above all others is itself a sin. Because what it leads to is the justification of every other sin in order to prevent that one cardinal sin that you've named, that you've lifted above all others. And I think that there are a ton of people that have lifted the sin of racism up above everything else. And I think that explains why people are willing to go to such lengths, and they justify it. And that's what's bothering me here. It seems to me that whoever authored this mission holds that view. And so for them, going out there and stealing in the name of justice, burning, looting, rioting, killing cops in order to send a message and right wrongs, that you're justified over it. You see what I'm saying? Like they've lifted one sin so high up above all others that whenever people commit other crimes in the name of combating this one sin, they're not actually guilty of anything. They're heroes. They're freedom fighters, not terrorists. You see, and I'm not down with that. I believe in one standard for all people, because I do believe that all people are created equal by the Lord, right? So if you're created equal, then you're held to the same standards. So, I don't know. I could be wrong on that. That's just me reading the tea leaves here, but I'm very suspicious that that's kind of what's at play from the how would I say that? The anachronism at play to the fact that you have a thief and a murderer telling some dude that what he did is so disgusting it should pass away. That none of that adds up, man. Arthur ain't the kind of person that should be passing judgment on anybody for much of anything. Would be my kind of take. But anyway, I think we're done. We'll go ahead and go to story. And we're going to delete both of the March ones. And then save over the original. Yeah. Take it all with a grain of salt. Maybe I'm wrong. I am kind of stitching things together and entering into speculation, but that's how it maps out to me. That's what it points to, is that we have a developer here that wrote a story from a modern perspective that is also, in my humble opinion, a warped perspective that is its own brand of evil. So I think that guy or girl is messed up. But we'll go ahead and end it on that. Again, I'm Aesop Grimm. Thank you for coming by the channel. I hope you like what you saw. More importantly, I hope all is well in your neck of the woods. And I'll see you in the next episode where this story continues.